Hi there, it's John from Commercial Real Estate Online. Welcome to the program. In this particular video show, I like to cover off on different aspects of commercial real estate, retail, industrial, or office property. For my friends around the world, particularly in commercial real estate sales, leasing, or property management. In this particular topic, I want to cover off on aspects of shopping centre management and leasing. That being said, shopping centres are the most complex type of property. There are many things that come together, many things that you have to think about. That will be customers, sales, the maintenance of the property, leasing, vacancies, improving the rental base, the investment performance over time. So shopping centre managers and leasing people are very busy most of the time. And they have to be skilled at doing that job. And the skill does indeed take experience, exposure to how to improve that property. I want to cover off on a couple of issues about shopping centre management and leasing, which may give you some benefit when it comes to shopping centre performance. So the two issues are these: reducing and filling vacancies, number one, and improving rental payments, number two. So let me take you through those aspects. I'll talk them through, and you can consider how you can move those strategies into shopping centre performance. So number one is all about reducing and filling the vacancies. Given that you have several, if not many shops in a retail complex, the vacancy pressures are always there. You'll have tenants that want to leave, some defaulting lease situations, others needing to move, expand or contract shop size. So those pressures require a tenant retention plan and a leasing plan. So what did I say there? Two things: a tenant retention plan and a leasing plan that sit inside the property within the business plan for the asset. Also, the business plan for the asset should be prepared before the beginning of each financial year so that the centre manager and the leasing manager know the key elements that they're targeting for that investment over time. So the business plan I'll speak about in greater detail, but there are two parts to it that I'm emphasising now. A tenant retention plan would be something that supports the tenants in occupancy, helps the centre manager and the leasing manager make choices when it comes to whether they want those tenants, whether they should move some tenants on when the vacancy or end of lease arises, and what sort of tenants they want to bring into the property. So that's a leasing plan on top of a tenant retention plan. So the aspects of property performance to consider inside those two issues would be optimising rent, maximising the occupancy issues over time, minimising vacancies, and choosing the right tenants for the longer term. Not all tenants are the right tenants for the investment property performance. And of course, it's a changing retail environment, which means that some tenants are going to become less successful over time simply because of what they sell. And the customer base will be more choosy when it comes to certain aspects of that tenant offering. So not all tenants are suitable for the investment property performance, and not all shops for different types of retail selling are good for certain locations. So leasing choices require a leasing plan for each financial year's beginning. Now that leasing plan will look at the tenants by type, their location, the location's suitability for that type of tenant, the market rents generally speaking for the property and that location, recognising that each location in a retail shopping centre will have different rent targets. By example, a shop located on the corner of the common area, the entranceway of the property, will have the highest market rental. Smaller shops will have very high market rentals. So putting all of that together, some shops back in the middle of the shopping centre may have less market rental targets than those on the entranceways or the doorways. So that's the leasing plan. And then I spoke about the tenant retention plan. As part of that, you could do a SWOT analysis to determine the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats within the tenancy mix. In doing all of that, you can compare the property to other shopping centres around. And I've done that many times myself over time. When I'm controlling a shopping centre for the owner in many different ways, I will go out there and look at the other shopping centres within a 5k radius. And when I've done that, I can actually understand what those shopping centres are doing, how much vacancy threat they have, what their tenancy mix is, and how that compares to my property. And that all gets merged into the business plan for the asset. There is, I've said it again, the business plan for the asset, which is set before the beginning of each financial year for the property itself. So that was number one. That's reducing and filling the vacancies. Number two, improving rental payments. It's all about the money, of course, but it is all about the success of the property. Arrears will affect property performance and the net income stream. That says that the arrears have to be watched, the threat of the arrears. So through the arrears pressures, you would want to improve the rental-based rents to market rents. There might be a difference between the rents paid versus the market rents. Be aware of those differences because you would want them to align over time. Some tenancies might be under-rented for various reasons. What are the reasons? It could be the terms of the lease. So the actual market rental in the property will vary through the year based on individual negotiations. The actual market rent based on individual negotiations being the term of the lease, the conditions of the lease, the amount of incentive offered to that tenant, the location of the tenancy. So negotiate every lease to balance the tenant types against the location and the tenant's potential success. This says that some merchandise groups have different types of capability when it comes to actually getting a result from the goods that they sell. I go back to the point that not all tenants are suitable for certain shops. That is the case. If you get the choice wrong, the tenant's business will struggle, eventually fail, you'll have a vacancy, and then you've got to deal with that vacancy over time. So a couple of things within those two issues I've mentioned, and the two issues just for recapping, one was reducing and filling vacancies, and the other was improving the rental payments. So what would I do with that? Within the business plan for the asset, I would make sure that I have a timeline which is forward-looking for 2 years. In that timeline, and it can be through graphing an Excel spreadsheet, I would have the tenants by name, by type, the lease expiry dates, the option capabilities, the rent reviews. I would have all of those in the spreadsheet. Now, it's 2 years forward-looking. What it would do is show me the windows of time where the various vacancies in the asset come up, so that 6 or 8 months out, I'm talking to the tenant about extending their occupancy or perhaps vacating. And I would have made that decision myself regards that property to ensure that it aligns with the tenant's business activities, but also, most importantly, the client's investment targets. So the business plan for the asset would take into account that 2-year timeline of tenancy change or potential change and the arrears factors and the leasing strategies. So there's many different things to think about there. I encourage you to think about that and to do something with it to improve your leasing strategies, your market rental strategies, improving rental payments and providing a top service in centre management and leasing for your client, the landlord. Enjoy the ideas, get these ideas in place when it comes to your asset that you've got under management, and I'll catch you in the next video.